Yo, what is good, ladies and gentlemen? It is your boy Xplic right here with you guys. In the Golden Kingdom, here we have what if Itadori had Kaioken. So hopefully you guys do enjoy this. It's pretty broken. It's pretty obvious it's going to be a pretty broken what if and pretty broken. Yeah, it's probably going to be a pretty broken movie. So yeah, hopefully you guys do enjoy it. Just to tell you this now, it won't stray that far off the original series. It won't stray that far off, with most of the events still happening the same. But anyway, that's pretty much that. So I hope you guys do enjoy this part. If you do, be sure to like, subscribe, all of that jazz. You know how it goes. If you want to leave a comment, whether you want to, pretty much anything. If you want to leave a comment, that'd be pretty cool. Or hit the notification bell. That'd be pretty cool as well if you guys want to see these videos as soon as they come out. So there you go. But anyway, that's pretty much it. Just remember, God is awesome, you guys are too, and let's just get straight into this epic what if. Let's go! Yuji Itadori in the original series was a pretty strong delinquent, we're not gonna lie about that. He was a very strong kid, but also a little bit dumb, and ate Sukuna's fingers, and etc, etc. You know how the story goes. And the same thing is going to be happening here, but the story actually starting at the Cursed Womb arc whilst they're in the detention center, with Yuji having his arm his hand sliced clean off of the rest of his arm. He realizes that the only way they need to defeat this curse is by letting the curse inside of him out, by letting the king of curses, Ryuman Sukuna, out, as he tells Fushiguro to get out of here, and Fushiguro hesitating, saying like, what's gonna happen, with Yuji just saying it's okay, with Fushiguro going off, him going to try and find Nobara as Yuji tries to fight the special grade curse holding one of Sukuna's fingers. With this happening, Yuji tries to fight it, but we all know how it goes. Yuji gets sent flying. He gets sent flying through a building and through a wall into another room, with the curse letting off an entire massive energy blast made of pure cursed energy, burning off all of Yuji's fingers, as he realizes that he needs to summon all of his strength. Him having a lot of regrets before this, thinking that he doesn't want to die, etc, etc, but then realizing he needs to defeat this curse, that if he won't do it, then everyone around there will die. Fushiguro, Kugisaki, even Ijichi may die if he doesn't defeat this curse. And what about the woman outside with her son still being in here, her not even knowing that her son is dead? He needs to provide evidence. He needs to show her that at least he tried to do something. As he summons up all of his strength, he screams at the top of his lungs. As this happens, a strange flick of red starts coming off him, before a gigantic red aura bursts off him as he launches towards the curse. The curse not really thinking much of it, as Yuji punches the curse straight in its hand. The curse thinking it won't do much, but it getting sent flying back. Its arm getting sent flying back as if it was hit by a not a nuclear missile, but hit by some sort of missile or a actually extremely powerful punch, which the curse really wasn't expecting, since this kid kind of nearly died just before. With him realizing that, this kid's kind of strong, he tries to fight back, but Yuji, he's quicker. He keeps dodging, but every time he does, he feels the tearing of his muscles. His muscles start tearing, his bones starting to crack. With him punching the curse one more time straight in the ribs, the curse getting sent flying into the side of the wall, or in the side of the room, heading straight into the wall, cratering it, as Yuji looks down at his arm, realizing it is all broken and mangled and twisted. Pretty much him not being able to move that arm anymore, or else he'll cause himself unbelievable, unearthly amounts of pain. With the curse immediately jumping back towards him, it tries to use a punch towards him, but he dodges it, him feeling the ripping across his legs before he then sent another punch, punching the curse straight in the face, breaking his other arm and mangling it, but sending the curse flying. The curse gets sent back, flying back to where they originally were, with Yuji pretty much getting ready to die, really, realizing that a few more hits and he won't be able to do anything. He'll just be a body with broken limbs and mangled body parts and not being able to do anything. But as he thinks this, he hears a howling. Fushiguro's jade demon dog hound thingy, the demon dogs, or the one that is left, starts howling. Yuji, hearing this, realizing this must be the signal, as markings form on his face. After this, the rest of the story pretty much progresses how it normally would, with Sukuna healing all of Yuji's wounds, completely annihilating the special grade, eating the cursed finger that was inside of said special grade, seeing Fushiguro, putting their hands on Fushiguro, absolutely destroying Fushiguro, thinking Fushiguro is a pretty interesting dude, and then kills Yuji. After this, the entire situation with inside of Yuji while Yuji is dead happens, with Yuji thinking he's awesome, having the upper hand, and trying to attack Sukuna, but Sukuna, being an absolute Chad, just kind of bullies Yuji, with him saying the terms of the pact, etc, etc, Yuji declining, Sukuna telling them to 1v1, Yuji accepting this 1v1, and then gets the top of his head taken off the rest of his body, pretty much dying inside of himself. After this, Yuji then wakes up, finding himself inside of a strange room. Whoa, where are my clothes? As he looks around, seeing that he's naked, then seeing a strange woman with surgical gloves, and then looking over and seeing Gojo. Hey Yuji, welcome back. Them high-fiving, and the entire thing pretty much happening as it normally would. As this all happens, Gojo sends Yuji and takes Yuji to try and help him more understand cursed energy and try and get that strange ability to come out. He assumes cursed technique to come out and to be able to use it once again. Gojo learning from Yuji telling him that he had this strange thing where, you know, this red energy came off him, and then he just sent the special grade flying, and almost kinda hurt it. He didn't win, but he almost hurt it. But yeah, so Gojo explains that, well, that might be his curse technique, with him saying, well, first, they need to sort out how to, well, you know, how Yuji can use cursed energy first, make sure he can use the stuff properly, and channel it properly, or else, well, he ain't probably going to be able to get that curse technique under control in the near future. After this, Yuji then does the entire movie thing with him learning a lot quicker, with him being able to channel his cursed energy pretty much perfectly after about a week or so. After seeing that Yuji has a good control over his cursed energy, Gojo asks Yuji to try and tap into that strange energy form that he was in before, where he had that strange aura. Yuji trying to summon up the same emotions that he had, trying to build them all up. I know it sounds like Super Saiyan, but shut up, this is the only way I could really think of it working, without adding some weird stuff. Anyway, this works. So, Yuji then trying to think of the same emotions he was feeling. He was feeling guilt, fear, anger, and determination, all at the same time, as he tries to build up that same stuff with red energy flicking off for him until energy explodes off of him. Gojo, seeing that this could only be a small fraction of the ability, with Yuji turning it off, punching the wall, well, Gojo telling him to punch the wall, Yuji punches the wall with his normal strength, and then he tells him to use the ability once again. Yuji doing it and punching the wall, seeing it did double the damage. Gojo realizing that, well, this probably is a multiplier. It multiplies the person, it multiplies Yuji. Not just like his physical abilities, it just multiplies him in general. Realizing that this could be incredible and that Yuji could be very, very strong. He gets Yuji to watch movies again whilst holding a glass of water and having his Kaioken, which Yuji has named since it reminded him of a strange ability he saw in a manga that he read from a strange show about a guy called Goku, a Saiyan that comes from Earth. And it kind of reminds him of that. So he sees that and realizes this is very similar, so he names it the Kaioken. Yuji using said Kaioken and realizing that this is ×2, uses ×2 and pretty much just holds the cup and having multiple other cups in case he breaks them. Him using these cups so he can have full control over Kaioken, with over the time him realizing that he's a lot stronger and a lot of glasses do get broken and a lot of cups. However, after about another week, Yuji has a good control over ×2 and tries to get into ×3, 4, 5, etc, etc. With one day, while Yuji is trying to build up more strength, trying to get stronger and stronger, building up his body and building up his tolerance to ×4, Gojo arrives, telling him to come with him as he grabs Yuji, and Yuji, before he knows it, is now on top of a lake. Which confuses him wondering like what was going on. Wasn't he just at the house? With him then seeing or hearing somebody talk to Gojo. Satoru, what is this? Some sort of, he's supposed to be your shield or something? Mount Fuji! His head's Mount Fuji! I'm sorry, I just really wanted to say that. As Yuji explains this, the entire situation happens the same, with Gojo saying that, well, Yuji isn't really here for a shield, he's just here to observe. Besides, you're kinda weak. No, how dare you, Satoru! Yeah, so that entire situation happens, with Jogo getting a little bit annoyed, just a little bit, and before he knows it, flames and magma erupt from his head before then putting his hands into a strange position. Yoiki Tenkai, Gaiken Techi-sen. With him saying this, flames and strange rocks surround him, surrounding all three of them as magma and other fire and all that explode from the rocks, pretty much turning into the inside of a volcano, or what you would assume to be the inside of a volcano. As Gojo pretty much shrugs this off as Jogo tries to use multiple different attacks, using his kind of strange boulders to try and slam into him, and using flames, but nothing works, as Gojo then says, Yoiki Tenkai, Murio Kusho. As he says this, blackness surrounds all of them, enveloping Jogo's domain as space and other strange stars and what it seems to be the infinity surrounds them. With the entire thing happening, Gojo talking about the infinity, ripping off Jogo's head, the domains disappearing, Hanami rocking up and taking Jogo away. With that all pretty much happening the same. Like, Yuji doesn't have the reflexes enough to realize that, this stuff is happening and that, a root is going to grab him by the leg and chuck him into a bunch of wooden spikes. So he's not that developed yet. So that all happens and Yuji is a lot stronger after this. A month then passes with Yuji getting a lot stronger. Him being able to maintain a lot higher levels of Kaioken and pretty much be an absolute Chad. Him not even really needing to be away from the rest of them. Gojo just wants him to get a bit of experience before meeting the rest of his classmates and friends once again, as Yuji is introduced to the suit-turned-sorcerer, Kento Nanami, with Nanami explaining that, well, Gojo should get off him, and he gives his formal introduction, etc, etc, and him saying that, well, he went to Yuji's school as well, and he learned, while he was there, he learned one thing: Jujutsu sorcerers sucked! Yuji being quite confused, and then he explains that he also did a normal job, a salary job, and he learned something there as well, that doing a salary job sucked. So if both jobs suck equally, he decided to do whichever one he was better at. Both Yuji and Gojo doing the, wow, that's dark, and I know, right, etc, etc. I'm sorry, I'm having way too much fun with this series, or this movie. As this is all explained, Gojo pretty much shuns Yuji off to Nanami and lets them do their bonding time, and Yuji get more experience with Nanami. With this all happening, Yuji is then taken with Nanami to go inspect a few strange occurrences at a movie theater. Them seeing that there are some weird corpses, but they're not normal corpses. They're transfigured green, blue, and other weird colours. A colour which a human being shouldn't be. Them seeing that these are strange and weird and just strange. Nanami explains that, you know, there's residual cursed energy around, and that Yuji should be able to sense it. Yuji being able to sense it a lot easier and seeing it as they go off, arriving to the kind of practice baseball court and arriving, seeing multiple curses. Them going up and Yuji and Nanami fighting the curses. Nanami giving his whole explanation with Yuji being able to listen. Him kind of just toying around with the curse, being at Kaioken times 5, him just playing around, not really hitting it, him just blocking and dodging and sometimes parrying the attacks, but not actually defeating it, just listening to Nanami until he lands one punch, hitting the curse straight in its side, hitting it with a times 5 Kaioken divergent fist. As he hits the curse, it sends a gigantic blast, blowing off a bit of the curse's side until another shock of cursed energy runs back up after the hit and blasts away another half of the curse. Nanami then explaining and telling Yuji to stop, explaining that these are humans and that there aren't actually curses. And Nanami explaining that, well, they really have to put the poor things out of their misery, or else, well, that'll be kind of disappointing and the poor things will just be in agony. So they end up killing the curses and take them back to get analysed. After this all occurs, Nanami then sends Yuji along with his assistant Ijichi to go and investigate Junpei Yoshino, who was the kid who witnessed the strange occurrence, what seemed to be a curse, and seeing whether he's a curse user, just a random kid, or can just see curses. Them going and seeing all of this, as this is all kind of explained to them, and they all prepare for this, Yuji and Ijichi go with a couple of curses in cages, doing the exact same thing. Yuji seeing that following Junpei and seeing that he is in a confrontation and a sort of uncomfortable talk with the teacher, explaining, or kind of the Yuji going up, doing his whole thing, catching the curse and down-trousing the teacher, and that whole thing happening with Yuji running around the entire block, catching up to Junpei. They all become friends, etc, etc, etc. I'm just gonna go over this because pretty much the rest of them goes the same as normal, with Yuji and Junpei becoming good friends, them arriving to the riverbank talking about movies, and then Junpei's mum comes along and invites Yuji to dinner, where they all eat. Yuji entertains them, they all have fun until they all leave, and pretty much chill out for the rest of the night, where that night, unbeknownst to the sorcerers, something horrific happens at the Yoshino household. After this, the next day pretty much, Yuji hears that Junpei's family, or Junpei's mother, has died, and that something like a strange curtain or barrier has gone over the school. Him dashing in and arriving, seeing Junpei holding up one of the kids with the rest of the students and teachers, or pretty much just the students, a couple of the teachers being unconscious on the ground, with Junpei holding up his pretty much school bully, holding him up with his shikigami, it being a strange jellyfish called Moondreaks. As this happens, pretty much Yuji tries to stop him, but Junpei won't listen, as they end up getting into a scuffle. Yuji not even using Kaioken, him just going in with pure physical strength and limited cursed energy, trying to get him to understand, as Yuji then tries to crank it up, trying to stop Junpei as he uses Kaioken times 2, blasting the Moondreaks away. As Junpei tries to send Moondreaks' kind of spiked tendrils at Yuji, as soon as they hit him, they disintegrate as Yuji blitzes towards Junpei, sending him flying back, pretty much exploding the Moondreaks. As Yuji then asks him, like, what's going on, why are you doing this? Like, I understand that your mother has died, or I don't even know if he knew that his mother had died, but he just knew something was going on, explaining that, well, whatever it is, they can get through it. And Junpei then summons his shikigami once again, explaining his entire life story, stabbing into Yuji with his Moondreaks, and everything kind of going on as it normally would, as Mahito walks down, blasting Yuji with his kind of hand, and Yuji just deciding that this is kind of over, here knowing about the curse with the patchwork face from Nanami. He realizes that something bad's about to happen, as he uses Kaioken times 5! No, that sounds horrible. As he uses Kaioken times 5, blasting the kind of fleshy arm away, but it is too late, as Mahito grabs onto Junpei's kind of shoulder and uses idol transfiguration, turning Junpei into a transfigured human, and sends him to attack Yuji. Yuji not really being able to attack back since he knows this is his friend. Junpei then ends up dying. The curse, and even Yuji asking Sukuna, like, if he can help, etc, etc, asking him, pleading for him, but Sukuna declines, just laughing at him. Mahito laughing as well as Junpei dies, and Yuji, just anything, any remorse, any sympathy inside of him blows away as he just snaps. Mahito laughing away until he feels a pain in his face, realizing that Yuji has just appeared in front of him, using a punch with times 5 Kaioken, hitting him in the face, then him also being able to use Divergent Fist on top of this. Safe to say, Mahito gets sent flying. As he goes flying back, Yuji then tosses him onto the courtyard, with him going up, smashing into Mahito, using as much as he can, blasting into him, with Mahito realizing that he's on the back foot. Yuji jumping up and just really trying to make him suffer as much as possible, using Kaioken times 10, blasting at Mahito, hitting him left and right. Mahito can't even fight back, he can't comprehend what's going on, as he just decides that he can only do this one thing, as he turns into a gigantic spiky bull, stabbing around, with him about to use a giant swiping slicey attack. The attack is then parried, Yuji being able to parry it, but he was too slow as he sees Nanami there, as they go absolutely ham. Yuji explaining that he was just able to hit he was just able to hit the guy, just able to hit Mahito, that's all he did. Nanami thinking that maybe he just aimed for the soul, and since he's got Sukuna inside of him, he should be able to defeat him. As they both go in, Mahito immediately realizing that he needs to take down the 7-3 guy before he can take down Sukuna's vessel. Him trying to take down, isolates Nanami. Him saying, Yoiki Tenkai, Shinhei Endonka! Saying this, Nanami and Yuji pretty much get enveloped in his domain expansion, trying to use his domain on them until he realizes Yuji can't, it won't work on Yuji, realizing that Sukuna is in there as well, him forcing Yuji out of the domain, him using his domain just on top of Nanami, is about to transfigure him, about to turn him into a transfigured human, until they hear something outside. Kaioken times 20! As they hear this, a gigantic explosion occurs on top of the domain, completely shattering it. As Yuji lands on top of the hand, pretty much turning into, pretty much taking Sukuna into Mahito's domain. Sukuna explaining to him, he probably shouldn't do that because, it's just not good, and this is his one and only warning. Mahito, realizing the memo, exits out immediately as he feels a gigantic object hit him in the side. Him realizing that Yuji has hit him straight in the kidney with a times 20 Kaioken along with Divergent Fist, pretty much being a times 40 hit, sending Mahito flying backwards, blowing off most of his body, as before he can react, he feels his head get slammed into the ground with Yuji crushing his skull. Yuji's about to finish him off until he feels something about to hit him. Him looking up and seeing a bunch of strange curses about to attack him. Him jumping back and seeing Kenjaku, also known as Suguru Geto. Him going up and Geto trying to attack him. Geto using his multiple other attacks, trying to push him away from Mahito, but he realizes that, it might not be enough, as Yuji uses as much power as he can, using Kaioken times 20, blasting them away, using multiple attacks, using his different attacks to try and blast them, as Geto pretty much gets his lower half and pretty much just his head blasted away, pretty much just exploding it as his head gets sent flying back, with Yuji then seeing something familiar as he's about to just completely incinerate and obliterate Mahito as he goes in for a final hit. He then sees something stab into the ground. Him seeing some sort of strange flowers, or a strange stick with flowers on top of it as flowers bloom. Both him and Nanami losing the complete will to fight, as Yuji realizes this is familiar, as he slaps himself in the face, but sees that both of the people have already left, and they've escaped. Yuji hitting himself, realizing that, this is a problem. He decides that enough is enough, and he just goes away, really. He just is infuriated that he couldn't take down the murderer of his friend. After this all occurs, Yuji and Gojo finally think it's time for his life to finally be revealed to be still breathing to the rest of the Jujutsu world, to his classmates, to Kyoto, and to everyone there. As he arrives, the Kyoto students and the Tokyo students are kind of having a little bit of a feud, them death staring each other, as Urahime asks, "Where's that idiot?" Panda saying, "Yes, Satoru's gonna be a few minutes late," and Maki explained that when's he ever on time. Megumi saying, well, no one ever specified that that idiot was Gojo, as Gojo arrives, saying hello to everybody, declaring his presence, stating that he is here back from a small field trip, or a overseas trip, as he arrives, giving all the Kyoto students a bunch of tribal doll thingies, and he gives the Tokyo students the greatest gift of all time, as the chili bin that he was wheeling, its door thingy flies open, as Yuji Itadori stands up. Yup, up, B! As he says this, he goes in the greatest pose, seeing, as he opens his eyes, seeing that everyone isn't happy to see them at all. The two other first years just being in complete shock, as, yeah, you know what happens. If you've seen the show, then you know what happens. As pretty much Megumi and all those guys all say thanks, and mad at Yuji for saying that he was dead, or not revealing that he was still alive all this time. And yeah, so pretty much all that happens, they all get to know each other, they kind of train for a little bit longer, and the Kyoto students get told to kill Yuji Itadori, because he's Sukuna's vessel and he's a little demon spawn. Well, according to the higher-ups and Principal Gakuganji. But yeah, so Gakuganji tells them to go kill Yuji Itadori. Todo's like, huh? No way, dude. As he says no, slams down the door and walks away, explaining that he has to go see his idol's kind of his live stream conference thingy of his greatest idol of all time, the greatest human being of all time, Takada. As he explains this, he walks out with everyone else being annoyed at him, to say the least. As he walks away with the rest of the things going on, a few hours later, and Yuji and all the other Tokyo students and the Kyoto students get ready for their team battles. As they charge off, everyone telling them to go, they're sent off to go and win their respective battles. As they go out, Yuji charges around trying to find something, and as he sees a curse. Him seeing this curse as he's about to attack it, until a gorilla of a man jumps down, hitting the curse and hitting it away, blasting it away. This gorilla of a man being Aoi Todo, the greatest human being, according to Golden What Ifs, the greatest human being in the Jujutsu Kaisen world. As he kinda arrives, Yuji and him immediately get into a scuffle, everyone else splitting off as they get into a scuffle. Yuji being able to hold his own easily with Todo as they go throwing hands, them both being very, very evenly matched until they catch a breather. Good man, I do believe your name is Yuji Itadori, correct? Yeah, that's correct. Who are you? My name's Aoi Todo. But anyway, before we continue, I must ask you one question. This question will determine whether we can truly be friends, and whether I can take this battle seriously or not. Okay, what's that? Alright. What kind of woman's your type? Yuji being kinda baffled. You wanna know my type? I don't see why that's relevant for this situation, but if you must know, well, my type of woman is a woman, a tall woman with a nice big ass, like Jennifer Lawrence. Todo, seeing this, immediately just sees sparkles in his eyes as he gets a memory that never happened. This happening, Yuji and him have the exact same kind of memory thing that happened in the original series, as he starts crying, etc, etc, and that all happens. Him saying, "My best friend," as they continue to fight until they are cut off by the rest of the Kyoto students as an arrow flies towards Yuji. As this happens, Yuji turns around, catching the arrow, as he powers up to Kaioken ×2, blasting the arrow into smithers as he appears in front of the man who shot it, this man being Narutoshi Kamo, as he slams away, sending him flying. As he then turns around, seeing someone in the sky, this person being a small girl on a broomstick, as he goes and flicks his finger, sending a gigantic airwave flying towards the girl, this girl being Momo, sending her flying back, as the rest of them decide to back off, with Todo telling them to piss off. As this is stated, they go away, with Todo being very, very surprised, asking Yuji, like, firstly, how did he do that, and is that his curse technique, and if he can possibly teach him. Yuji thinking for a second and thinking that this guy's a pretty cool guy, and that he wants to help this guy get as strong as possible, possibly so they can both become special grades. That'd be pretty cool. But as this happens, Yuji decides, alright, no helping it, so they both continue fighting, with Yuji explaining that Todo has to feel despair, grief, anger, and determination all at the same time, or at least that's how he activated it. With Todo doing so, Yuji tells him to try and just build up those emotions, just only focus on them, as Todo uses it, red flickers of light flashing off him as he gets quite excited. Yuji explained to him that he should probably try and get stronger and use his technique and try and keep control of it, and make sure that, well, once he punches something, he doesn't immediately blow his entire arm off, because that's what he did when he first activated it. And Todo looks a bit confused, looking at him, looking down at his arm, and then looking back at him. Yuji just shrugging before then they continue their fight. Them fighting, it's Todo uses Kaioken ×2, Yuji doing the same, them both hitting each other, as Yuji both is trying to help him use Kaioken, and Todo is helping him to get better control of his his abilities, really, trying to get him better at his curse technique, explaining that he needs to use the Black Flash. Yuji asking what this is as they continue to talk. As this happens, they then sense something above them, looking up and seeing a barrier occur above them. Them seeing this and being a bit confused, realizing that a curtain or a veil is being put down on them, wondering what's going on. With this all happening, Yuji gets kind of annoyed as they then hear an explosion occur a little bit further away from them. Them wondering what's going on as they go charging forward. Them going and seeing Megumi, Fushiguro, and Maki being kind of harassed and bullied by the special grade with vines and tree powers, looking like, if you guys can't disagree with me, Hanami has got the best curse design. It is so cool, like with the white armor and the tree eyes, it's just sick. You can't disagree with me there. But anyway, so getting back into the story, they see that it's Todo and Yuji both jump in front, blasting away Hanami, as Todo takes the two away, giving them to Panda, As Todo explains that he's not going to help Yuji until he uses the Black Flash, and he should expect Yuji to not use his Kaioken over ×2. Yuji just nodding as he starts going ham onto Hanami, trying to hit him as Todo realizes that, well, something isn't going right. As Yuji tries to use Black Flash multiple times, Todo brings Yuji over to him, slapping him in the face, explaining to him that, well, he shouldn't try and be completely consumed in anger, as that's, even though it's an alright fuel source, he shouldn't completely rely on it. Him slapping again. Now, are you okay? My besto friendo! Yuji nodding as he goes towards Hanami once again, going into complete concentration mode as Hanami tries to attack him. Him dashing in front and striking Hanami using Black Flash Kaioken ×2, blasting Hanami away, blasting an entire hole straight through her and just blasting her arm away, and both of her arms quite a large indent in her chest, and just everything on her body is kind of a bit sore, and she uses her reverse curse techniques and healing techniques to heal herself. Yuji and Todo then start going ham, them just going ×2 at first, them just trying to have fun really while trying to beat Hanami. As Yuji decides to up the ante, going into Kaioken ×4. Him telling Todo to do the same, them going ×4 equally, and just absolutely bullying this poor curse. Hanami not even knowing what's hitting her, and she gets absolutely blitzed, with Yuji deciding that he should probably finish this, as he tells Todo to stand back. Kaioken ×50! As he says this, Hanami and Todo realize, yeah, she ain't making it out. As Yuji just appears in front of Hanami, her putting her hand on the ground, trying to suck away all of the kind of plants and stuff, using her other arm, trying to suck the plants away, but she isn't fast enough as Yuji goes in, going in for a ×50 Kaioken Black Flash Divergent Fist Punch. I'm sorry, but there's nothing left. Yeah, it's safe to say Hanami gets kind of destroyed. Yeah, she gets sent to the Nether Realm real quick. And that happens, Todo is incomplete. It's kind of baffled, really, as Yuji is standing there, red steam coming off of him, as his, steam coming off of him as his skin is a slight tone of red. As Yuji just looks over to Todo and gives him a thumbs up, with Todo realizing that Yuji's arm is quite battered and bruised. Yuji explaining that, well, yeah, he's a bit sore after that one. But yeah, so they decide that they need to go around. As they go around trying to find other things, as the curtain is taken down soon afterwards, the curtain is taken down pretty much straight afterwards, with Gojo seeing that Yuji just defeated a special grade curse. That's pretty impressive. But Gojo knew this, since he knew that Yuji's ability was unbelievably strong, seeing that Yuji's aura matched his in strength. Probably even more, since, well, Kaioken's pretty busted. But yeah, so that all happens as Yuji decides, and everyone else take down the rest of the people. Hanami, Mahito ending up escaping, as that all happens the same. After all this, a baseball game then occurs as the second event. Them realizing that Satoru is to blame for this, as they were originally supposed to do individual battles, but seeing how Yuji took down a special grade pretty much on his own, yeah, there was really no need for that, as they knew Yuji was probably going to win anyway. But anyway, plus, everything's a plus. Yeah, Tokyo absolutely destroyed Kyoto, no doubt about that. And yeah, that's pretty much that, with everything happening the same. Yuji being known as an absolute Chad, and yeah, he's just, everything goes pretty great after this. A few days later, Yuji, Nobara and Megumi are then sent to deal with a strange thing happening under a bridge. Them looking around, going to different schools and trying to see different rumors, etc, 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 until one night they arrive to under the bridge. Them going under and seeing that there's a domain, an innate domain, as they go in and see that there's a bunch of whack-a-mole moles there. So, being the good, smart people that they are, they decide that they need to get this done. Them going in and blasting away all of the whack-a-mole moles immediately. Yuji not trying to strain himself, give everyone else a bit of a chance. He just goes into ×2, using his abilities to speed around really quickly and defeat them until a strange curse arrives. This curse being Kechizu, a strange blue thing with a head, no duh, but yeah, having a head with another gigantic mouth on its kind of chest. With this all happening, Yuji then kind of fights it, kind of having fun with Yuji using his different abilities and attacks to try and defeat it. As this all happens, he then sees Nobara is getting sucked away, being pulled away from the kind of thingy, being pulled away by the arm out of the domain. As that all kind of happens, Yuji blasts out, seeing that the other curse explains, "Hey, that's my older brother, me do," or whatever he does. That's so weird. But yeah, as that all happens, they then charge out, Yuji blitzing out, leaving the rest of it to Megumi, giving him a thumbs up. As they go out, he then decides to just put the hands on these two. Eso being very mad that Yuji saw his back, and Kechizu, yeah, it's just kind of sad. As Yuji goes in for a attack, him going in and blasting them away. Until Eso uses his maximum technique, winking, as massive blood wings protrude from his back as he stabs and tries to attack at the others. Yuji decides to take this to another place, him grabbing onto Kugisaki as he dashes off, going into ×4, blasting away, completely surprising everyone, realizing that this kid's fast. This kid's got pace. As this all happens, Yuji then decides that he needs to, they need to get away as they arrive to a street. Them arriving there, and they realize that this is a good place to end it off. Yuji charging up and seeing that Kechisu is in front, him using Kaioken ×5 and grabbing Kechisu, grabbing him by the face and launching him into the wall as Nobara sends a bunch of nails into him, then using resonance technique and hitting him across the face, blasting massive amounts of cursed energy into him, but not killing him. As this happens, Eso arrives, realizing his little brother is in pain, him using winking to try and hit them. As he does so, he rips into both kind of Yuji and Nobara using rock technique. As this happens, Yuji decides that, well, this isn't they need to finish this, as he realizes that, well, he's not affected by any poisons, so he uses Kaioken ×10, blasting up at Eso using his ability, and jumps up, grabbing him by the face and slamming him to the ground, punching him relentlessly. As he uses this, he uses Divergent Fist to blast Eso into the wall before smashing into him. With this happening, Nobara then using her straw doll technique to her different techniques, her using a similar technique to straw doll technique as she inflicts pain on herself to hurt the other curses. And she does this, the other curse, Eso is forced to release his technique as Kugisaki uses hairpin, blasting Kichisu away, completely killing him, as Yuji uses Kaioken times 20 Divergent Fist, using Black Flash and blasting him away and completely killing him. Him realizing that Eso was crying before this happens. However, with this all occurring, they then head back to Fushiguro, them seeing that Fushiguro is okay. Him using Yoiki Tenkai Yongo Hangete. I'm sorry, I just love saying that. As he uses Domain Expansion, Chimera Shadow Garden, killing the special grade Finger Curse and defeating it. As this all happens, they then arrive back, seeing Fushiguro is okay, etc, etc. And Yuji ends up eating the finger, or more accurately, Sukuna eats the finger. With this all happening, they are then saved and go back to Jujutsu High, where, unbeknownst to them, both Meimei and Aoi Todo both recommend all the students of Tokyo's Jujutsu Technical high school have been recommended for first grade sorcerers. With this happening, they are then in for a long ride ahead of them to becoming the best sorcerers they possibly can. And that is the end of this series. If you guys do enjoy this, be sure to like, subscribe, all of that jazz. If you guys want to leave a comment or anything like that, that'll be pretty cool. If you want to, hit the notification tab, that's pretty cool as well. I could go into the manga, but let's be honest, let's seriously be honest, nothing much is gonna change. By the time some certain arcs happen, by the time the certain Mekamaru arc happens, Yuji's already gonna be up to, because that's like a month or so after, so he's gonna be up to like Kaioken times 100 easily. So this man's pretty if you haven't noticed, I made him broken. This is pretty much a great broken joke series. It's really fun. But yeah, so that all happening, Yuji could immediately arrive and realize what's happening, and a certain couple of people would get absolutely obliterated and murdered. And if that didn't happen, the other arc that would happen, Yuji could use a Kaioken times 100 Divergent Fist to break the barrier, and yeah, nothing much would happen. He would be able to break anything very, very easily. Like, Geto and the curses have absolutely no chance at all. So yeah, anyway, that all happening, I hope you guys do enjoy this part. If you, so that's pretty much that. If you guys want to see our respective channels, either Golden What Ifs, Crown Fiend, or me, Xblick, yeah, you guys should go check us out, definitely, on our respective channels. We pretty much post the same stuff as we post here, except on our own channels. With Golden posting mostly Naofumi What Ifs, the same as this channel. And he sometimes does Itadori What Ifs, but that kinda happens, not superly, but it kinda happens. With me, I kinda do Naofumi What Ifs. I also do a lot, I'm doing a lot more Jujutsu Kaisen What Ifs now. And sometimes a Deku What If every once in a while. but I'm definitely going to be straying off of Deku and more onto Itadori what ifs and Naofumi what ifs. But yeah, so that's pretty much that. And also Crown, he just does whatever. At the moment he's in the point of moving, so that's why we haven't been doing the final part of Kaiju, because that's his part. But yeah, so that's the reason why he's in a bit of a sticky situation at the moment with life getting in the way. So that all happened, but anyway, that's pretty much that. So go subscribe and check us out on our respective channels. But anyway, that's that. Just remember, God is awesome, you guys are too. And one of us will see you guys in the next video. Peace.